time now for the KSL In-Depth. Will the Big 12 expand? And if they do, will BYU get invited? Now, that's a question that hopefully will be answered this afternoon when the Big 12 holds a news conference to talk about expansion. Joining me live in the studio is KSL News Radio's Cleon Wall, who is part of our BYU football coverage. And Cleon, does anyone really know what the Big 12 presidents are going to decide today? Or, what's going on in these meetings?
Short answer, no. I think a lot of people are wondering the same thing. A lot of inside media sources have said that one of two things probably is going to happen today, and this is kind of how I feel too. Either one, they're going to say, no, we're not going to expand because the television networks, Fox and ESPN, have come to them and said, you know what, we don't want to pay $25 million to each new member that you add. And that's $25 million a year, not just a flat $25 million. That's $25 million a year. So they may come to the Big 12 and say, you know what, we're going to pay you not to expand. And they may not do that because they don't really like their options out there. There's no really big team out there like a Florida State that they may want to add. Or they may just kind of, I talked to Doug about this, kick the can down the road a little bit because they're going to meet again in 2 months. And so what they may do is they may say, we've talked about it today. We want to talk about it a little bit more with some of the possible candidates out there, including BYU, maybe Cincinnati, maybe Houston, Central Florida, Southern Florida. They may want to just talk to these schools and see what they get out of it coming up a little bit down the road. But in reality, we have no idea what these guys are going to do because every time we've had sources tell us one thing or another, the Big 12 presidents have come back and said, we're going to do this. And it's totally against
different.
What other people have said.
So explain for people who may not be following this story very closely why this is such a huge deal for BYU.
It's a huge deal mainly for money. We can talk about competition all we want, and BYU would improve the competition if they join the Big 12, but this really is about money. ESPN right now is paying BYU, I don't know exactly how much, but they're paying BYU so much money to put their football games on TV and also to include them in some basketball packages too. But in reality, as we just kind of talked about right there, if BYU is added to the Big 12, they would eventually get around $25 million a year. That's way more than they're making right now from their current deal with ESPN. Now, what will happen to BYU if they don't get invited to the Big 12? I think they would continue along the independence path, along ESPN's path, because that leaves them open for possible expansion candidate in the future. But really, this comes down to money. It would greatly,
on both sides.
Yeah, it would greatly help out. It would greatly help out BYU if they were able to join the Big 12.
Okay, and as I understand, there's a news conference at 4:30 this afternoon.
4:30 this afternoon. The Big 12 the conference commissioner will be there. He's not the one that makes the decisions. He's just driving the decisions, but the presidents will make a decision. And if they do decide to expand, it means that 8 conference presidents have said, yes, we want to expand, and here are the candidates that we like. Now, I do have to say, they could come today and say, we've decided to expand, but we'll decide in 2 months who those teams are. I know, it's just weird. I know BYU fans would like to have closure today. They may not get it.
Yeah. Okay, just be prepared for that. Okay.